So I think most of us have heard of the Penguin Classics line of publishing. Even if you don't read them, you've definitely seen them on people's shelves or in the bookstore. And there have been a couple runs of Penguin Publishing. Uh, Here's a famous edition of Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, the nice, some sort of middle age painting on the front. But they have the iconic black spines. These are an older edition, still Penguin Classic, and famous line of publishing for classic literature, nonfiction, and such. But what if I told you that there was one Penguin Classic bigger than the rest? Freeze cut. Okay, so before I show you the book, first, here's the Epic of Gilgamesh. This may be the smallest Penguin Classic ever. I don't think it is the smallest. I have some pretty slim ones up there, but this is a mass market paperback. I don't have the large hands, and I can hold it like this. So this is a comparison book. Next, we have a great big book that is not the biggest Penguin Classic ever. Here we have the King James Bible in not double columned text, but single columns. There it is. One column per page, unlike most Bibles. And this is a gargantuan book. It is 1929, 1,929 pages of Penguin Classic. And it's actually bound really well. So for comparison, you have the Epic of Gilgamesh, the Bible, 1,900 pages versus 120 pages. And no, the Bible is not the biggest Penguin Classic ever, which I found so surprising. But we're going to put these down, and you may have already seen the Penguin Classic in question on my bookshelf. But I was overjoyed to find this I found it at Goodwill. This is not a book that anybody reads. You don't read this book for pleasure, but it is an instrumental volume of medieval history. And it closely aligns with my English history reading project. I don't know if I'll ever have need of consulting this book, since I'm not a scholar of English history. I'm not working in the field, but it's really awesome to have. And I will reveal the book now. This is called Domesday Book. Domesday Book. It is absolutely huge. Look, I don't even have a small head, and this is bigger than my head. It is double columned, and it comes in at 1,436 pages. And look how small the font is. It's not big. It's quite tiny. If I wasn't wearing my glasses, I couldn't even see the letters. So, Domesday Book, a complete translation. This is from 2003, I believe. Yeah, 2003, but it's from a 1992 translation. And this, I have to explain the book now. This is a complete land survey of England in the year 1086. Now, if you're a astute historical student, you might be thinking, oh, England, that's England in 1086, that's close to England in 1066. And you're right, it is close. In 1086, William the Conqueror of Normandy, is still King of England. He conquered in 1066. He was crowned on Christmas Day, and 20 years later, he's 20 years older, but he's still William the First of England. And in the 20 years post Norman conquest, there's been a ton of squabbles over land in England. The Normans took a lot of the land that the Anglo-Saxon English had previously held and distributed it among Normans. But William the Conqueror wanted to establish more legitimacy for the lands owned by the crown or the lands owned by Normans. And so he ordered a complete land survey of all English territory. And his minions in 1085 went out, and they went to every place. I think there's a couple exceptions, but they went to places and they said, how much stuff is there? How much land? How much is it worth? Do they have any chickens or hens? Or that's a joke, but pretty much. And I'm trying to find it. So I'm going to try to give you an example. The thing is, I don't know many of these abbreviations. I haven't actually poured through the book yet. But yeah, we're in a chapter on Huntingdonshire, and part 11 of Huntingdonshire, the land of Earl Hugh. It says, in Upton, Edgar had 4 hides to the geld, with sake and soak. There is land for 6 ploughs. There are now 2 ploughs in domain on 1 hide of this land, and 14 villains and 5 borders having 8 ploughs. There is a church and a priest, and 1 mill, rendering 3 s, and 50 acres of meadow, TRE worth 4 pounds, now 5 pounds. Full Cooey holds it of Earl Hugh. And it's basically 1,400 pages of double columned of land, what is in each little patch of land in England. And the amazing part about this is we have pretty much the entire work from the 11th century. And it was written in medieval Latin, so you had to translate it back to English. But this was almost 1,000 years ago that these people were just hanging out, having land, having a house and a horse and a farm, and they were surveyed. So, yeah. But look at this thing next to the Epic of Gilgamesh. This is a book. It is huge, and here's the Bible, the huge Bible. Look at that. Look at that. It's taller. And it's wider. So, I don't know of any other Penguin Classic that is bigger than this. So, there you have it, folks. Domesday Book. It's called Domesday Book. It's a reference to the Doomsday. I believe the popular story is that this land survey was so thorough and official that only the Day of Judgment could render it obsolete, or something like that. That's like the etymology of the word, or the story behind Domesday. It was originally called the Book of Winchester, I think, because that's where William was at the time. But it morphed into Domesday Book. Yeah, quite possibly, I think it is the biggest Penguin Classic ever. And it's unreadable. If you read this, you should be in an insane asylum. If you read it cover to cover. That's all I'm going to say. You should not be walking any street ever for the rest of your life. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Penguin Classics content. It's always fun. This is floppy. This is so floppy. I love this book. Never gonna read it, but I may consult it in my project if I ever have need. Which I doubt it, but it's just so fun to have. And I picked it up for $1, less than $1. That's like, how many cents per page is that? I don't know.